Welcome to Game of Roses. I'm Chad Kulchin, and I'm going to be breaking down the ratings that just came out for Joan Vassos' first episode of the first season of Golden Bachelorette. I'm also going to be comparing her ratings to Gerry Turner, who obviously was the first season of Golden Bachelor, and Jenn Tran, who was the recently concluded season 21 of Bachelorette that ended in disaster with Devin Strader. Joan, on her first night, which was a Wednesday, which is a departure from the regular Monday schedule of almost all Bachelor shows, and that is important to note, for this first Wednesday night, she got a 0.29 in the 18 to 49-year-old demo, and she got 2.81 raw million viewers. Okay, so that's where it stands. Now, before we look at how that compares to Jenn Tran and how that compares to Gerry Turner, let's look at how it compared to the rest of Wednesday night's TV lineup on the networks. This is CBS, NBC, Fox, and ABC. This is not any streamers or anything like that. This is just what appears on network television. So as you can see, Golden Bachelorette came in a distant second to CBS, which had the season premiere of Survivor. So, and they got a 0.73 there with 4.72 million viewers, absolutely dominating the night. Now, is this second place finish barely above MasterChef, pretty far ahead of Chicago Med, at least in terms of the demo, roughly the same or maybe a little bit better than the raw viewers there? Is that a success for ABC? I believe it is. I believe that they view this as a successful season. It is making them money, comparatively speaking. Coming in second place, even though it's that far behind, CBS is still second place. So now let's take a look at how she compared to Gerry Turner's inaugural season as Golden Bachelor. As you can see there on his premiere night, which was September 28th of last year, he got a 0.63 in the demo and 4.36 million viewers. Absolutely dominating what Golden Bachelorette did. So what we're seeing now, at least in this first episode, is that Golden Bachelorette does not appear to be generating the same level of interest as Golden Bachelor did. Maybe that's because the first season of Golden Bachelor was the first kind of golden part of the franchise that we ever saw, and people have kind of worn out its welcome, or maybe it's because of the disaster that was the end of Jenn Tran's season. I got a bunch of DMs from people, more than I've ever seen. I mean, you always get these DMs from time to time in Bachelor Nation because there's some kind of controversy or the show's doing something bad where people are saying, I'm checked out, I'm boycotting, I'm never watching the show again. I got more of those DMs after Jenn Tran's finale than I have ever gotten. That said, let's take a look at Jenn Tran's season and see how Joan Vassos compares to that. Oh, well, also, before we get to that, let's take a look at the rest of Gerry Turner's season here. We've got it all. And so he never dipped to a 0.29, not even close. He never dipped below, what is his lowest score there? A 0.48 in the demo. And he never went below, it looks like 3.9 million viewers. So Joan Vassos' first episode has already rated worse than any single episode that Gerry Turner was able to deliver in that inaugural Golden Bachelor season. Now, let's take a look here at Jenn Tran's season, how that compares to Joan Vassos so far. So Jenn Tran had a 0.45 on her night one with 2.8 million viewers. So roughly the same raw viewers, but that demo is really what's important because that rating is how ABC sets its the amount of money it can charge for ad space, basically. So that is really the number that they're looking at here. And obviously, Jenn Tran absolutely blew Joan Vassos out of the water. You can also see if you just go down the rest of Jenn Tran's season, there is only one episode that rates below a 0.29. That is that fourth episode there, and that got a 0.25. And I want to say that was because of the RNC or the DNC was also on that night. And you can see she also had a 0.29 there on one other episode. And I can't remember what episode that was. I guess it was the one right before the finale. I can't remember. Was that potentially the one that had the Biden speech? Jenn Tran was like plagued by a bunch of things like the RNC and the DNC and Biden's speech, the Olympics. She was competing against some hardcore things. As you can see with Joan Vassos, she was really only competing against Survivor and got blown out of the water. So these are the ratings. These are where they stand. Do we expect to see Joan Vassos' ratings climb for the rest of this year? I don't know. As you can see with Jenn Tran and Gerry Turner, to some degree, they were able to put on numbers here and there. Gerry Turner's finale, obviously being his highest score with a 0.8, and Jenn Tran also her finale being a 0.46. So perhaps Joan Vassos's finale will pick up some steam, but as it sits right now, the Golden Bachelorette is underperforming both the most recent season of The Bachelorette and the first season of The Golden Bachelor. Time will tell if it's going to get any better, but that's where the ratings are right now. Thanks for joining me, and I'll be covering these ratings all season, so stick around.